All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Andrew. I go by Blocks on Discord, on Lorcanito, and Melee. This is a little project I'm going to do called Project Purple Steel. Kind of one of my favorite color combinations in Lorcana since I started playing. I only got started just in June, July of this year with my son, who's 7. I grew up playing Magic, so this was a fun game for me to get to learn. Basically, what we're going to do with this project is we are going to build a purple steel deck, kind of based on what kind of the current inspirations are for this color combination. And then we're going to do some in-depth testing of card selections. We'll make some changes along the way. We'll see how the matchups go from my perspective, all while trying to learn from the rest of the community on Discord and through kind of the available information that's out there. So kind of like first things first. Just kind of wanted to talk about kind of review the latest events and kind of go over the larger events where Purple Steel's done well. EU Nationals just happened, so we're going to look at a couple of those deck lists, and then JDRR on Discord is the most prominent Purple Steel kind of authority, if you will. Really, really helpful to the whole community. I ask questions in there all the time, trying to understand deck selections and matchups and lines of play, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be looking at the deck and information that's available through not only the guide that he wrote, but also the deck list that's like most current and public on there. So we're going to look at that. In terms of kind of the color combination in general, there's a few different directions that this deck likes to go. Now, we won't be looking at any deck examples of this style, but there's definitely some purple steel decks that like the Forbidden Mountain crew has put together that are more Maleficent and Dock based. There's even some versions out there that use Dock's Mine, which is a really interesting card to consider, but that's like a whole different kind of direction that this deck can go. And then there's more of the mid-range versions, with Tinkerbell, and then there's some that run, Rose and Gantu. This is kind of the direction that I want to explore more. I think these are two very, very different deck styles overall. Tinkerbell, again, being one of my favorite cards ever. I really want to explore that Tinkerbell shift line just to see how it works in the current meta. I know Little Tink is not the best card in some matchups. Shifting Big Tink is not the best card in matchups, but in other matchups it's fantastic. So we're gonna play with it. We're gonna test it out, see for ourselves, and just have some fun with it. There's also some key differences in a lot of these deck card selections these days. Is people running Friends or not, Rabbit or not, locations or not. So let's go ahead and get started. And I want to look at some decks for inspiration. So we're gonna pull up kind of the two decks that did well at EU Nationals, or Continentals, I should say. So the first one here, recorded as the 7th place deck, but this is from Swandi. There's a lot of different, card choices to look at here. There'll be some overlap, but we're going to look at this deck. We're going to look at the other top 8 Purple Steel deck by Andy. And then we're going to look at JDRR's most recent iteration of the deck as well. We'll switch this to kind of this view just to get a little bit of a better picture of things. But kind of before we get into that, let's look at kind of the different things we're going to touch on. So one drops, how many, what are they playing? Are they playing Maleficent or not? Two drops, Calhoun and Smee are kind of the auto includes. Some are running Snake, and then there's some that might be on the Dock package. Three drops, Fox is kind of an auto include for a lot of these decks. But then Pete, Crab, Lawrence, Rose, or Tinkerbell, there's a lot of different choices to make there as well. And then we got our 4 drops. There's some auto includes again. Genie and Goat, pretty much 4x all the time. Rabbit is here or there, just depends. 5 and 6 drops. 6 drop being Big Tink, not really much outside of that. However, one of the EU Continentals decks was running 1 Hades. And then there's Elsa and Belle are very consistent, and then Gantu's kind of the sub for Tink, depending on what deck style you're choosing to go with. Actions and songs, there's a decent amount of removal in these decks. So kind of what that removal mix looks like, what cards are they using, big thing that I want to explore. Friends. Friends is not in all the deck lists, but really powerful card. Can be more important, especially if we're doing more of a mid-range show, which we're probably going to try to do. And then locations are not, library, castle, and then again, there's kind of the Dwarven Mine rogue version that's out there as well. So keeping all this in mind, I want to take a look at kind of what these guys are running with right now. So let's start with the two kind of EU Continentals decks and kind of see what they did. All right, so we're on Swandies first. 1 drops. So 10 1-drops looks like pretty even mix between Diablo, Broom, and Chernobog's. 3-4-3, nothing really much to talk about there. Let's see what we got for 1-drops on the other guys' list on the so full 4 of all the draw drops. That's what I like to call them, the 1-drops that replace themselves. 3 Captain Hook though as well. So that's an interesting little card to think about for against more aggressive matchups. 15 1-drops is a lot, so interesting choice there. And then GDR right now looks like is running 10 1-drops. This went up recently. He was on 1 Broom just the other day, but looks like they're up to a full 10, which is interesting to see. But those are like the consensus cards we're looking at. Is all the draw drops. This person's running Hook. 10 up to 15 it looks like to be the standard. So we'll see where we want to land in there. 2 drops. Let's start with Swandi again. Calhoun, Smee, just 7 2-drops. That's an interesting count. Let me see. Andy here has Calhoun and Smee again. Just 2 Calhoun though, and then 3 Doc. So kind of we're up to 9 there. Let's see. JDRR is on 10. We got Snake this time. Calhoun and Smee. So Calhoun and Smee again auto include. JDR is running the Snake though. Which is interesting because he's also running 2 rabbits, which makes a lot of sense to have the snakes in there. I have no rabbits at all in these other 2 decks that did well at EU Nationals. So just an interesting thing to kind of notice when it comes to us making our selections. Into the 3-drops, Fox prevalent in all of these decks. You see 4 Fox all around. Let's look at Crab, Rose, Pete as well. So yeah, GDRR looks like is on the Rose build right now. 2 Crab, 2 Pete. Andy was on the Fox, of course, and then 3 Crab, 2 Pete, 2 Rose. So a little bit lesser amount, but he's also on the Tinkerbell plan. So here's an example of 4 Tinkerbell Fast Flyer, 2 Tinkerbells is the high end. Andy is running the 2 Gontu. No Bell in this list. We do have 2 bells in both Swandi and JDRR's list. Both have 2 bells. Very much a genie battle these days, so I think Bell is just a really great tool to think about for fighting that genie battle. When it comes to the 4-drops, Genie and Goat are 4x in all 3 of these, I believe. So yeah, let me see, Genie and Goat, yep. So we got 4x all around on those. That's going to be easy for us to decide. And then top end, again, JDRR is doing Gontu. We have Gontu in Andi, and then we have Bell in Swandi, and then he's running the 1 Hades, which is again just another interesting selection. So that's kind of what the character kind of makeup looks like for these decks. And when it comes to the actions, so let me see, Swandi here. This is Swandi, yeah, perfect. 3 Fire the Cannon, 2 Smash, is playing Friends. And then 2 Zeus. So we have 7 removal spells all around. Let me see, in Andi, same 3 Fire the Cannons, 2 Smash, 1 Strength, so 6 removal spells here. Running the Tink, so that's, kind of can be a touch of, removal if you want to call it that. And then JDRR's on 2 Twin Fire, incredibly underrated card. I think that's probably going to start seeing a lot more play with the prevalence of green purple. And then 4 Zeus. So we got 6 there. So 6 removal, 6 removal, 7 removal, 4 friends for JDRR, no friends for Andi, but he's running the 3 Doc. The Doc's an interesting selection in this deck to me because there's a lot of higher end cards still. So just 3 probably mulls them and then just hopes to draw them off the top. So just an interesting thing to consider, especially since there's no rabbits in this deck as well. Now locations, we got 3 Castle from Andi, running the 15 1-drop. So I wonder how he decided on Castle versus Library, but that's interesting. 3 Library for Swandi. Library goes so well with these draw drops, it's really hard to ignore that kind of power. But JDR not doing any locations at all, which is an interesting choice, and instead just kind of doubling down on some of these other spells, like Friends instead of Library as a way to draw more cards. Swandi is doing Friends and Library, which is interesting, and just kind of cutting a little bit of like a little less of this 3 slot here. It looks like. Well, there's Pete, there's Crab, there's Fox. No Rose is the thing that they don't have in this particular deck, but running 2 Pluto, which is a really interesting choice. So this is kind of the inspiration for kind of what we're looking to see what the standard is for this, and we'll just have to make our own choices. So I want to pull up the deck that I put together and kind of go through my choices real quick. So this is what we're going to start with. I'm on 10 one drops. I don't want to miss one drops at all. Went with the four Diablos, guarantees a card. Turnbog's probably the strongest of all three. Broom I don't hate though, because late in the game, sometimes you can just drop a broom for one, play another character, and then pop it for a card right away just to cycle through it. So I don't mind that ability, whereas these two, you can't do it immediately when they come into play. In terms of cycling them for a card. I'm choosing to do Snake because I wanted a higher threshold of two drops. I don't want to miss two drops. Doing two Calhoun forced me, but I'm going for 10. I don't really mind, running the Snake on two if I have to, just because I can at least ink one of these and then I can save my more expensive cards to play later. Three drops, definitely the four Fox, two Crab, two Pete. I'm going to try the Tinkerbell line. So I'm running 4 Tinkerbell. I want to see how Little Tink does in this meta. I don't hate the idea of it being another evasive 2-quester to go alongside Genie. If it eats a Brawl, against Ruby Amethyst or something, or Ruby Sapphire, I don't mind that because it'll save the Genie from getting brawled. So we'll see what that kind of feels like running those two. Let's see here. 4 drops, 4 Genie, 4 Goat. I threw in a rabbit because I want to bounce rabbit with Snake just as like another late game option. Kind of an odd token rabbit to have in there, but I'm not mad at more card draw. My top end, 2 Bell, 4 Elsa, 2 Tinkerbell. So again, Tinkerbell is just going to be that top end slot to go with the shift line. We'll see how the shift line works. We'll see how we like it. This might be an easy thing that we'll move off of, but I want to start with trying this Tinkerbell line and see what I think. Bell, I'm running the bells instead of Gontu because again, I want to think about the Genie battle. Genie battle happens against Ruby Amethyst. It happens against Blurple. It happens against Green Purple. It happens against any Amethyst deck. It's a Genie battle, Genie and Elsa battle. So it's just another tool to fight that. With that in mind, for removal, I'm a little, kind of departing from what we saw in some of those other decks. I'm not running Fire the Cannons. JDRR, I think, has it absolutely right with the Twin Fires. Twin Fire, I think, is a really, really good card. It allows you to turn, a dead 1-drop or a Snake you don't need, or even Calhoun, like depending on the matchup. These matchup dependent cards, you can pitch one to deal an extra 2 if you need to, and you can just shoot something for 2 if you want. I believe in that card for sure. Running a Smash just to have another action way to take out an Ursula 3, or just anything that I need to kind of hit cleanup on. I'm running the Friends. I don't want to run out of cards. I think in this meta right now against the majority of the decks, I don't want to be the one that goes 1-drop, multiple 1-drops, or 2, 3, and then I'm down to 2, 3 cards in my hand after a Genie Elsa battle, and they have 5. I don't want that at all. So I'm running the Friends. I'm trying out 1 Strength because I want kind of these tempo plays in there where on turn 4 I can play a 4th character, Strength the Genie for 4, or even on turn. Turn 5, 6, 7 later in the game, just being able to sing a song to remove out of nowhere, which is why we like Zeus. It's character dependent, but I want to see how it feels versus Smash. I kind of want to decide between these two if I want to double up on Smash, double up on Strength. Maybe I want more Strength. The removal package is something we're going to be thinking about testing for. I want to see what removal feels right. Friends, I want to see, is that something I want, or do I want to switch it to Library to go with my 1-drops? These are all the little testing points that we're going to discover over time. But this is what the starting deck is going to be day 1. And to kind of bring it home here, kind of what I want to discuss is, so moving forward, I'm going to do match reports every 5 matches. I know that that's not a big sample size at all, but I kind of want to go over these one by one, just to kind of talk about how the matchup felt and how I feel in terms of what decisions I might make with changing numbers around, or taking a card in and out. Changes, I will not make changes until I've reached 20 matches, and only in 20 match increments after that. I want the sample size to be decent. Even 20 matches isn't that much, but after 20 matches, I feel like I should have a good understanding of what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what little tweaks I want to make. And that's the other thing, is this is going to be a tuning focus. This is about tuning. This is not throwing out crazy amounts of changes every 20 matches and everything. Because if I look at my deck again, The most major thing that might change, and it probably won't even change after 20 matches, is do I want the Tinkerbell shift line or not? There's no Rose in here. There's no Gontu in here. There's a lot of exploration. There's only one rabbit. You can play with those numbers a lot. There's the 2 crab, 2 Pete. Maybe I want to go up and down on those. The removal package we talked about. Maybe I want to go up or down on these. Do I want a 3rd Calhoun? Do I want to go up to 12 1-drops? These are all like the little tweaks I want to make. And I'm going to try to do my best to just make one tweak at a time. So I'm not going to like go up to 12 1-drops, go to 4 Pete's, take out the Tinkerbell package all at once. That isn't going to happen. We're going to, again, focus on tuning. So after this first 20 matches, I think I want to decide, like, okay, what does my removal suite feel like? What do I want to switch there? After 20 matches, I'm going to say, okay, do I want more Pete? Do I want more crab? That's a fair question to ask. Do I like the 1 rabbit? Do I need to go up to a 2nd rabbit? How the 10 1-drops feel? So what I want to do is I want to do little bits of tuning along the way to see how things feel without going too crazy or over the top. So that's it for the first video. Please let me know if there's any questions or comments, thoughts. I will take all the help I can get. My goal is just to increase, my skill at this game. I want to compete on as high of a competitive, platform as possible. And I want, hopefully to help others. So it's like, if people can learn from what I'm doing here, try their own things. Purple Steel's a favorite combination of mine. I love the fact that it's so playable now. And I think that over time, it'll be really fun to get good at this deck, because in the little bits I've played with it, it's not the easiest deck in the world to play. I think I'll continue to look at JDRR's list to see how it evolves. I'll continue to look at inkdex.com to see if there's any other results that come out that might inspire me to make other updates. When I think about what the meta looks like in Lorcanito, I kind of, Ruby Amethyst and Emerald Amethyst, that's what I'm expecting to face a lot of, given its EU performance. Then there's so many other competitive decks. Blurple is on Lorcanito a lot. There's some really interesting Sapphire Steel builds that aren't the classic wheel or ramp, but aggro with a lot of resist and a lot of ward. There's a lot of green steel variants. There's some, crazy Sherwood Forest Robin Hood lines. There's Amber Steel aggro and Amber Steel Whole New World, classic Steel Song. And then there's Ruby Sapphires that are more aggressive on McDuck Manor and Lorgain, or Loreburn now. And then there's more classic. And I'm not expecting to face a lot of this stuff. There's still a little bit of hyper aggro. There's still a little bit of the Theotimes list, the 1/4 aggressive Quester Amber Sapphire deck. Haven't seen much of the rest of this. So it's going to be really fun giving this a try. I look forward to sharing results with you guys. And I hope to start, talking with a lot more of you guys soon. And hopefully this will be a fun project to continue doing. So thank you guys so much. And hope to have some fun with some games here. All right, thanks. Bye.